Hey all, SMK Gaming here. Are you interested in what the sprint speeds are in Battlefield 6? Well, this is the video for you. We will be looking at the base sprint speed and if running with a knife out is faster, and if so, by how much. What about running with the sidearm or the defibrillators? There's also the adrenaline shot for the assault class. Do any of these make any difference to sprint speed? I will be looking at all in this video. Finally, we will compare the Battlefield 6 sprint speeds to that of the previous games. But before we begin, if you're not familiar with who I am, these are the kind of stats, statistics and in-depth analysis I will be bringing to you throughout Battlefield 6. I spend as much time testing out aspects of the game as I do playing it. If this is of interest to you, why don't you hit that subscribe button a little bit earlier, just in case you forget at the end. Let's get into this, shall we? Firstly, a direct comparison between the normal sprint speed and that with the knife out. I have marked out a 100 metre distance for both and synced them together. Soldiers, on your marks, set. I think it's fair to say that was a bit like watching a Usain Bolt versus a high school track runner. It wasn't even close. The soldier with the knife equipped finished in a time of 14.04 seconds, whereas the soldier with their primary weapon equipped had a time of 16.69 seconds. That was a huge 15.9 metres or 2.65 seconds ahead. What was their actual sprint speed, though, you ask? They are now shown on screen. With the knife equipped, my calculations work out as 7.12 metres per second, whereas the regular sprint was 5.99 metres per second. Now, due to my methods of testing, you have to account for some minor errors in the data, so it is very likely that the knife equipped speed is probably 7.15 metres per second. You will see why I suggest this in a moment, and that the regular sprint is likely to be 6 metres per second or just above it. How do these compare to the previous Battlefield games? The regular sprint speed is on par with Battlefield 1 and 5, but slower than Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline and 2042. Looking at the Battlefield 1 and 5 numbers, it's very likely that Battlefield 6 is also set to 6.04 also. So my calculation could be 5/100ths of a second off, but that is certainly within an acceptable margin of error. Battlefield Hardline had the fastest base sprint speed out of all of those tested at 6.75 metres per second. In Battlefield 3 and 4, you had squad perks that could take the sprint speed up to 7.15 metres per second. But it's 2042's tactical transversal sprint speed that was the highest of them all at 7.25 metres per second. I therefore believe that the knife-equipped sprint speed in Battlefield 6 is also likely to be 7.15 metres per second, while the base sprint speed is 6.04 metres per second. Could it be 7.1 and I actually round down from the 7.12? It could be, but just because previous games were that 7.15, I'm going to tend to round up to that. Overall, compared to the previous Battlefield games, the sprint speed is probably in the middle to lower end somewhere. It is not that fast at all. Most of those enhanced sprint speeds in the previous games were easily achievable. In Battlefield 6, very few people are going to be running around with their knife out for prolonged periods of time, except perhaps at the start of the game. Then you have the base sprint speed of Battlefield 6, which is equal slowest of all the Battlefield games tested. I feel a lot of people are going to be surprised that the knife out sprint speed is actually slower than 2042's transversal sprint. It does feel faster, but I guess a lot of that is down to the animations involved as well as the sounds. With the knife equipped, your shoulder sounds like it is running very fast with the feet movement. Moving on, I also tested the sprinting speed with the sidearm and defibrillators equipped. I had to do this in another map, but it was still 100 metres. There was no difference compared to sprinting with the primary weapon equipped. All exactly the same. So if you're one of those running around with your paddles out, thinking it's faster, it isn't. Switch to the knife instead. The final thing to test was the effects of the adrenaline shot on sprint speed. There was a slight difference here, but very minor. The soldier with the adrenaline shot finished 0.6 of a second ahead of the other, which was 3.65 metres ahead. In terms of sprinting speed, that worked out as 6.2 metres per second. The effects of the adrenaline shot were not the entire 100 metres. I believe its effects dissipated after about 40 metres. It is designed to be a quick burst, and when considering that, it does fulfil its required role. Well, that's it, folks. If I receive any further updates from the developers on my findings, I will put them in a pinned comment in the section below. I'm not someone to prolong videos any longer than what they need to be, so if you didn't hit that sub button, then why not now? Don't forget to like while you're at it. Take care, and I will catch you all again in the next one.